Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to GBFC. Today, we are going to talk about Chelsea's best 11 for the rest of the season. I have built a Chelsea starting 11 that I think Maresca should and maybe even has to go to if we are to find our best form again between now and the end of the season. And as we get further into the video and we go through the attacking players, I'm going to give a bit of a rogue shout towards the end, but it's something that can absolutely be adapted. But I just think right now, there's been something that fundamentally hasn't worked and isn't working. And I think the fact that we've had nearly 3 weeks come the time we play Tottenham on Thursday or Friday night next week, I think Maresca needs to have seen all of these things. Chelsea need to go out there with not only a better energy than what we saw away at Arsenal, but we need to go out there with a bit of hunger and a bit of fight and a bit of realising that we're at home and we don't want to be passengers at Stamford Bridge. Spurs, they've also had a big break. They've also had time to reflect on what hasn't been a good season. But after what we saw yesterday, Chelsea first team losing 3-0 to the under-21s. If you haven't seen that video, check it out after this one if you're bored this weekend. There's also more GBFC and the Bangkok earthquake video that I uploaded on the Just a Couple G's travel vlog channel yesterday. Link to that in the description too. But I'm thinking, between now and the end of the season, it is so key. People are like, yeah, we've got to win the Conference League. But more so than any other priority, Chelsea absolutely need to be playing football at Europe's top table next season. There's no Europa League will do. There's no, well, we're in the Conference League this year. At least if we get Europa League, it's improvement. It is absolutely, fundamentally a bad season if you get knocked out feebly of both of the domestic cups. FA Cup, we were poor. Carabao Cup, Newcastle away, didn't show up. Chelsea fans travelled up the country to see a waste of space on the pitch. So if we don't get Champions League football, regardless of whether we win the Conference League or not, this season for me is an absolute failure. It isn't progress on the 6th place that we saw under Poch last season, where we actually were a lot closer to getting Champions League football than it looked. I think the healthiest Chelsea ever looked in the league last year was at the end of the season. On the final week, match day 38, we finished 6th in the league somehow. And because of European coefficient places going against all of the teams that were lower down, higher up in the Premier League table last year, Chelsea end up in that Conference League. But this season, there is absolutely no excuses. We had such a good start to the year, could have gone top at Goodison Park before Christmas. And I want to build you now the Chelsea starting 11, and we're trying to manifest this here, you know. So I've put the Champions League logo underneath the GBFC logo because that is what the aim is. The aim is to now find a Chelsea 11 that is good enough to get us enough points to ensure that we are playing in that competition next season. I want to hear the music again. Do you know what I mean? I want to see, even if we're still going to be a very young squad, we know that. It's just when it's difficult to kind of connect with things as a fan, at least if you know you're playing in the big games, you're excited about it until you get battered. But anyway, let's not think like that. Let's think positively about the Chelsea 11 that could start the rest of this season. And we don't really start on the most optimistic note because Robert Sanchez is in goal. And look, I know that you guys are going to be like, Benson, how can you possibly say that? You said you would never pick him for a Chelsea 11 again. I think at this point in time, right, as much as I don't think Sanchez is a great goalie, I don't think Philip Jorgensen is that great of a goalie either. And we know that Marcus Bettinelli, he is absolutely at Chelsea Football Club for the vibes. I just think Maresca has chopped and changed it so much already that if he keeps chopping and changing it from here, I think we'll get more bad results as a result of the fact it's changed rather than the fact of right now, let's just back Sanchez because he's gone back on whatever he said before and he's put Sanchez back in goal again now. So the goalkeeping position is obviously a huge talking point for Chelsea. Next year, we're going to have Petrovic. Unfortunately, this isn't what I think Chelsea's best 11 is on the squad and on the books. This is the best 11 to get us the Champions League next season. And as much as I don't rate Sanchez whatsoever, I cannot lie. I cannot give any airtime here saying I'm confident in this. But I am confident that Maresca should be looking at just not changing it too much if we possibly can. We move into what I think the best Chelsea defensive line is. And I think it is this. In form and fit, healthy, Reece James, Wesley Fofana, who we've only lost 2 when Fofana's played this season, Levi Colwill and Mark Cucurella. There is a little shout that could be given to Badiashile, but you don't really know which version of him is going to show up. So for now, I think this has got to be what the back line is. We've obviously seen this season that left-hand side, Mark Cucurella's been the man who's inverted. We have heard all of the talk from Maresca about, Reece James would do very well as a midfielder. Tuchel has said it. I don't think Reece James should ever be a midfielder if he is fit enough and healthy enough to own that right-back position. Yes, there is a world where Reece James could play as a DM or in one of those holding midfield pivot roles. But with Lavia coming back in as well, which is a little foreshadowing for where we're about to move with this best Chelsea 11, Reece has got to be at right-back. I don't want to see players playing in positions that aren't their best positions, particularly when Reece James is just so good on his day. Fofana, I want to see him keep running with the ball, keep trying to break the lines with his runs. Colwill, I want to see breaking the lines with the passes. Cucurella, just keep doing what you've been doing all season long. Mark Cucurella, apart from 20-minute spell at Spurs, Cucurella has been absolutely monstrous this season for Chelsea Football Club. So, let me take a swig of the old H2O. Okay, now we're talking 4-2-3-1 with Caicedo and Lavia next to one another. I've spoken this week at great length across countless videos about Caicedo can do the right back thing. He did it against Villa. He did it against Spurs away, 2 of our best performances of the season. But we don't need to see him there. We had to do that because of injured personnel and players not being available, fit and in form. Reece James is very much in form. So Caicedo shouldn't be going to right back to accommodate for Romeo Lavia. And Enzo Fernandez is also in good form and has been in decent form for Chelsea this season. Not perfect, as I've said all week, but it's been good. It's not bad at all. So we absolutely need to see Lavia and Caicedo playing together. And I think the fact that Lavia is back, he just provides that extra bit of steel in the middle for Chelsea. And obviously we know that Caicedo is that all-action, gets the tackles in, can make the passes. But Lavia's got a brilliant turning circle. If your Fofanas and Colwills are playing out from the back, Lavia can receive it. Caicedo can kind of advance back up into those 8 positions as well to support and supplement the Chelsea attack. And this is where I look at this team and I'm like, if Cucurella and James are both fit and firing, I think this is solid. I think there's no reason why Chelsea can't garner enough points between now and the end of the season if this is the foundation of the team. But it's moving forward where we have shown, in my opinion, the most struggle in the second half of this season. People can say that we've been defending poorly and we're not consistent at the back. We've certainly not been perfect at the back, but for me, fundamentally, it's been going forward where we've had the main issues. You've had a misfire in Jadon Sancho. Christopher Nkunku, who looks as though he'd rather be selling balloons in a kid's shop than playing football. Neto has just never really hit serious heights, but I certainly believe there is a burst remaining from Neto this season. But at the same time, if I bring up the attack here, people are going to jump at this and be like, Benson, you're off your rocker. Madueke cannot play on the left. All right. Well, then Neto can play on the left. But we have missed Noni. We have missed the link up between Jackson, Noni, Palmer. And I think we need to see Enzo in this position because he does so well there for Argentina. And I think if you want to get the best out of Enzo, you've got to accommodate for the way that he wants to play. Palmer and Madueke love to operate in those tight spaces where they can create those combinations in the final third. And with Jackson being a striker that loves to drop deep, that allows for your overlaps from Noni, your overlaps from Enzo, Palmer, to get in and around behind opposition defenses. Jackson is obviously such a key player. We've noticed that, even though he couldn't hit a flipping barn door before he got injured. We can see it's not even just the goals that we miss. And I'm not saying this is like Jackson is the answer to all of Chelsea's problems ever, but certainly no one can deny this season that we have been a worse team when he's not been playing. It's just true. And I think it shows the ceiling of the team is not where we would want it, expect it, need it to be. But for now, I want to see Palmer back on the right. I think there's definitely some link-up that can happen there with James. Lavia and Caicedo, it could also look a bit different. Lavia could be on the left, Caicedo on the right. Madueke on the left here is the big problem. But realistically, I think Maresca does have a big problem here. Because is he going to be willing to move Palmer over to the right-hand side? Will he just keep him there? And then we're going to be trying to like botch up other players into different positions to be able to accommodate for certain players and Maresca's want to have them in the team. So for me, it's the left midfield position that is up for grabs right now. And I've put Madueke in there because I don't think Pedro Neto or Sancho have done enough to lock that position in. The left wing position is a problem right now for Chelsea. So could Noni do it? It's a left-footed left wing player, which we don't see very often as Noni wants to cut it in on that left. But I do think it could work. And I think Chelsea, a big problem that we've seen in the second half of this season is how predictable we've been. So I think there's got to be also some tweaks from Maresca that do make us slightly different to play against. And when you've got players like Palmer, that obviously if Madueke's running down that left-hand side, Cucurella's advancing as well. So you've got the potential for Cucurella to come in and potentially overlap too. Palmer's also going to drift in off that right-hand side because he wants the ball in there on his left foot as well. So if you've got Noni, who's able to take players on, actually drive into the byline with support players in and around him, underlapping, overlapping, I don't see why it's not worth a try. Would I try that against Spurs? Maybe not. I think maybe Neto would start on the left wing in this one. But other than that, I mean, if it means Madueke starts on the bench, he starts on the bench. He's been out injured for a while. He can come on as an impact player potentially. But I do think, particularly from Jackson, the only position I'm not convinced on here is the left wing. And I'm still not convinced that Madueke has done enough all season to own that Palmer position, but I want Palmer back on the right. Do you know what I mean? I think this was a worthy video to make because I think it shows kind of what we need to take bits of what we had last season and what went well for Chelsea last season and adopt those into this season too. And that is the best that I can find right now. But like I keep saying, because I know that some people won't watch all the way through the video, they'll skip, see the graphic and be like, why have you put Madueke left wing? It's a problem position. I genuinely feel like it is. But let me know your thoughts on what the best 11 will be between now and the end of the season in the comments down below. I'd love to see you engage with this video. Let me know what your best 11 is formation-wise too. I know that a lot of people are obviously upset with everything that's been happening before this international break. I'm certainly one of them too. The constant ongoings at board level at the club as well, it's just been a drain really. But I'm trying to just like dream of the Champions League again. I just want to be back in that competition so badly. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Both of my other channels are linked in the description if you want more content this weekend. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.